On the day of my husband's boss's funeral, I was at the ceremony with him. The man who passed away was my husband's boss, a man who had taken care of him for a long time. I had met him in person, and he was a really kind and nice person. The boss's wife greeted the attendees in tears. Seeing her like that, my husband muttered to himself, "That really sucks." "What's that?" "I feel sorry for her." "Of course you would. Her husband just died. It must be hard for her." My husband glances at his boss's wife. He's showing concern, but it's just an act. "I really feel sorry for her." I smiled and opened my mouth to speak when he mentioned it again. "You're gonna feel even more sorry soon." A few days later, my husband will be entering the depth of hell. My name is Mia. I am 30 years old. I have always been interested in fashion, and now I work in an apparel store. My workplace is attached to a department store. Because it is a store, I have to work on weekends and holidays. But I like my job so much that I don't mind those days. And that's not the only reason why I can work hard. I have a husband, whom I have been married to for almost a year now. He's an ordinary office worker who takes weekends off, so he does all the housework and even cooks dinner while I'm at work. His support is what makes my life possible. Even after the honeymoon period, my relationship with my husband was good, and we were living peacefully without any major complaints. Then one day, I was having dinner with my husband when he opened his mouth as if he was remembering something.
"Oh, yeah. Billy is thinking of having a barbecue at his house. I was wondering if you would like to come with me."
Billy is your boss, right?
"Yeah. He's been taking care of me since I joined the company. He's the ideal boss. He said he would love to have you come."
Oh, really? I'd like to go if my schedule is permits. But weekends might be tough.
"How about the Saturday after next?"
Oh, I'm free that day. Well, then I'd love to go. It just so happened that my schedule was free, and I was going with my husband to his boss, Billy's house. I was excited beyond my years because I don't get to experience the outdoors very often. But what I didn't realize at the time was that this barbecue was going to be the culprit of all this. This barbecue was going to be the source of all my misfortune. 2 weeks later, we headed to Billy's house with drinks and snacks. The house is surrounded by lots of greenery and a big yard. It was a very cool and nice place to barbecue.
"Welcome. I'm Billy. Nice to meet you."
Billy, my husband's boss, greeted me. After him, a beautiful woman next to him opened her mouth. "Nice to meet you. I'm his wife, Tina." "Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Steven's wife, Mia." "Thank you for coming today. My husband is always talking about Steven. So it's nice to meet you today." "No, thank you very much for having me join you. Let's talk about all kinds of things as women. I hope you have a good time." The beautiful and friendly smile Tina has naturally brings a smile to my face. We got into a lively conversation about tribal matters, and I was able to talk about things that I would not normally do as with a friend. After a while, Billy said he was going to lie down for a while and went inside the house. I asked him to show me the restroom. When I returned to the yard after using the restroom, my husband and Tina were talking happily about something. I felt the distance between them was much closer than before. Were they always this close? I feel as if the distance between them had suddenly shortened, but I guess it's just my imagination. I forced myself not to think about it and returned to the two of them. My husband noticed me and quickly took some distance from Tina and walked toward me.
Did you find the bathroom?"
"Yes, Billy showed me."
"I see. That's good. The food is ready, so let's eat."
"Okay, that sounds good."
"There's a lot of food, so eat as much as you want."
After that, my husband and Tina acted as if nothing had happened. I don't know why they were so close at one time, but I'm sure I'm overthinking it. There was no way she was having an affair with my husband. My husband and Tina are both married to other people. I told myself that over and over again, and somehow I managed to get through it. A few days later, I came home from work, but my husband had not yet returned home. He was closer to home than I was to work, so he would usually be home before I was. I checked my phone while making dinner, but there was no word from Stephen. I sent him a message asking him what time he would come home, but there was no reply. What in the world is Stephen doing? Is he that busy with work? Even if he is, he would have sent me a text. My anxiety that something might be wrong grew stronger than my feeling of why I haven't heard from him. Eventually, my husband came home around 11 p.m. And he came home without returning any of my calls. Hey, I tried to contact you many times. My husband smiled at me when he saw me getting frustrated at this late hour. As if to soothe me, he tells me in an apologetic tone.
I'm sorry. I was suddenly invited out for a drink. My boss invited me, so I couldn't say no.
Even so, you could have at least called me. Why didn't you let me know?
It's just that I wasn't looking at the phone at all. I glanced at it when I was leaving, but I figured I was almost home, and it was okay.
I can't believe you. Do you have any idea how worried I was? You didn't come home until this late, with no reply. I was so anxious. I didn't even eat dinner.
I'm sorry. I'll be more careful next time.
He kept repeating I'm sorry and asking for my forgiveness. My anger gradually calmed down, and I finally decided to be happy that he came home safely. But since that day, my husband has been coming home after 11 p.m. every day. He would call to tell me that he was going to be late because he had to work late or go out for drinks. But it was just too much. He used to work overtime at most 3 days a week. No matter how busy he got, it never lasted more than a month. But lately, he was always coming home late and we saw each other less and less. Then one day, my husband came home unusually early. As soon as he got home, he said the craziest thing.
Billy's in trouble.
What's wrong with Billy?
Billy was in an accident.
An accident? According to my husband, his boss was in a car accident on his way home and was rushed to the emergency room. He's in surgery, but they don't know he's going to make it. Then I realized something. How did you know about Billy's accident?
Because Tina called me.
Tina knows your phone number?
We exchanged them at the barbecue, and I didn't think I would ever have to use it. Well, it's a good thing I did now because...
I see, but what are you going to do? Go to the hospital? My husband mulls it over a bit, mumbling. They won't let me see him if I go. In the end, he didn't go to the hospital, but stayed home and prayed for his boss's safety. When I woke up that night, it was 2:30 in the morning. As I left the room to go to the bathroom, I heard my husband talking in the living room.
Don't worry, I'm here. You're not alone, Tina. Even if Billy's gone, I'm still here for you. I didn't think we'll be together so soon. I'm sorry for Billy, but
I know who the other person is just from the conversation. The person on the other end was without a doubt Tina. Why would he speak so kindly to Tina? There's only one reason. Because he has a special relationship with her. It's not just my imagination anymore. My husband is definitely cheating on me. I took my phone out of the bedroom and immediately activated the recording app so that my husband would not find out. I recorded him talking to Tina on my phone. I pretended to be asleep just as he was coming into the bedroom and waited for him to fall asleep. When I heard my husband starting to sleep soundly, I secretly took out his phone and went through it. There, I found a large number of secret messages between my husband and Tina. The messages had started the day of the barbecue. That was the beginning of their relationship. I knew I was right about them. I've been going back through their messages, and they've been talking to each other like they were lovers. I love you, I can't wait to be with you, and other things that you wouldn't expect a married man to say to someone other than his wife. When I checked the camera folder, I found a lot of evidence there too. My husband was always late coming home from work, saying because he had to work late or go out for drinks, but he was always seeing Tina. There were pictures of the two of them dining together in fancy restaurants and graphic photos of them in places where they would engage in lewd acts. The moment I saw them, my anger at my husband swelled to new heights. I couldn't believe that he had cheated on me and had an affair with his boss's wife. And now Billy was in an accident and his life is on the line. I can never forgive him. I will put Steve and Tina through hell. I transferred all the evidence of the affair to my phone and went back to my bedroom. I grabbed my phone and went to bed in the morning without sleeping. The next morning, I dropped my husband off at the hospital his boss was at and went to the lawyer's office I had checked out earlier in the evening. It was last minute, so I didn't have an appointment, but I was lucky enough to get a consultation. I consulted with them about the evidence I had obtained last night, and they told me that the text messages alone was enough evidence. Finally, I decided to ask for both a divorce and alimony. I decided to send both my husband and Tina a content-certified letter. On my way from home, the lawyer's office, my phone rang. I checked and it was my husband. Hello? Then he started talking in a very depressed voice.
Billy passed away.
Really? Are you at the hospital?
I just heard from Tina.
Oh, okay. Well, be careful on your way home.
Yeah, thanks.
When my husband came home that night, he told me about the wake and funeral schedule. Apparently, Tina talked to him at the hospital. Since the wake was on a weekday, he couldn't go, so we were only going to attend the funeral on Saturday. We put on our mourning clothes and headed for the funeral. I was filled with indescribable emotions as we made our way there. But more than that, I was filled with anger towards my husband and Tina. When the funeral was over, I looked around and saw Tina diagonally ahead of us. She was in tears, and she was greeting the attendees with a deep bow. From the outside, she looked like a poor widow. Seeing her like that, my husband muttered to himself.
That really sucks.
What's that?
I feel sorry for her.
Of course you would. Her husband just died. It must be hard for her.
Yeah.
My husband glances at Tina. He's showing concern, but it's just an act.
I really feel sorry for her.
I smiled and opened my mouth to speak to him again. You're gonna feel even more sorry soon.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
I mean, isn't it obvious? Because of you, Tina will have to pay alimony.
Huh?
My husband's eyes widened and his mouth dropped open. Then Tina noticed us and slowly approached us. Stephen and Mia, thank you so much for coming today. Of course, Tina. I know it's been a tough day for you, too. I never thought this would happen. It's too soon. I know. And I'm sorry for your loss. But isn't this a good thing? Since you wanted to be with my husband. What? Tina has completely pulled back the tears and her face is drawn.
Hey, don't do that at a time like this.
I continue to go on mercilessly to my husband and Tina. How could you say such a thing at a time like this? When Billy had his accident and was rushed to the hospital, who was it that called? And said you were right there with her, and that you couldn't believe you were going to be together so soon?
I never said that.
Well, let's just play it here, shall we? I recorded your call on my phone.
That's not fair. Are you trying to threaten us?
The attendees who were about to leave stopped in their tracks at the sound of my husband's shouts. All eyes were on us. So I took the opportunity to address my husband. Threaten? I don't know what you think I'm doing, but I'm just saying the truth. You're married, but you're in a relationship with another woman. Mind you, the woman is the wife of your boss who just died. That's despicable, no matter what anyone says, right?
No, it's not. I'm just saying that Tina...
What? You're saying you were worried about Tina?
No, it's just, since Billy was my boss.
You're embarrassing yourself in front of all these people because of your petty feelings. You and Tina are finished. No matter how many times you apologize or how much money you offer me, I will never forgive you. I will do whatever it takes to make you pay the alimony. So be prepared." Stephen and Tina turned blue when they heard the word alimony. I left the funeral after I said those words. I could hear the murmurs of the attendees, but I ignored them all and headed home. After that, I packed all my belongings and went back to my parents' house. I told my parents what had happened, and they decided to take care of me until I could find a new home. A few days later, I returned to my lawyer, finalized the divorce with my husband, and demanded alimony from Stephen and Tina. At first, he refused to pay alimony, but when the lawyer told him that if he refused, he would be at a disadvantage, Stephen reluctantly agreed to pay it. The lump sum alimony claim drained Stephen's savings, and his parents disowned him. But the story is not over yet. Tina and Stephen later broke up. But surprisingly, Tina was the one who broke it off. Apparently, her relatives booed her at the funeral so much that she couldn't take it anymore. That makes sense. There's no way the world would allow her to get together with an unfaithful partner so soon after her husband's death. It's pathetic that Stephen was willing to cut off all ties with his relatives to be with Tina. Billy's funeral was attended by company officials, and Stephen's credibility has vanished. With his career path cut off, and no one to take him seriously, my ex-husband was left with nothing but loneliness. But I don't feel sorry for him, and I hope he suffers throughout his life. I, on the other hand, am at peace with the fact that I haven't lived with my parents for a long time. I want to repay my father and mother for the trouble I've caused them in this case. And I will pursue my own happiness, not for anyone else's sake.